can't see most of you, I'm not sure if you are all back actually. Hi, Stella. What is your feeling? Should we wait for a couple of more minutes? Zara, maybe you would know better whether it's better to wait for a couple of more minutes before we are all back with our.
I think the girls are here. I think you can start. I can see that they're commenting.
Excellent, excellent. My name is Vanja Zanko. Thank you so much for finding time to spend in this dialogue tonight. I know it's quite late in the evening and you've had so much already on your plate today. As I am informed, we are now 24 people from 6 different countries, from Croatia, Slovenia, Italy, Germany, Serbia, and Turkey. And actually, as a cultural manager working in a non-profit sector, these are the countries where I have mostly actually worked. And as of recently, I have also been an art dealer. And I simply wanted to share my life experience of my 20 years of working with artists with you and invite you for a dialogue, for any questions and experiences that you might have that you could share with the group as well. Because what I feel that cultivating togetherness in art world means is actually finding our ways in the complexity of the art world today. I will now share my presentation, but even though you might not see my face at all times, feel free to also interrupt me and to simply ask any questions or share any experience that you might have. Is this fine? Do you all see the presentation at the minute?
Yeah, we see it.
Excellent, excellent. And I would start by simply saying that as a cultural manager, I have started working in a non-profit sector in Zagreb, in Croatia, with a non-profit organization Nomad, which is still working. And as a matter of fact, I'm now sitting in Rovinj and we are hosting our third fundraising event, which is one of a kind in Croatia to support artists from Croatia and from neighboring countries in developing seminal exhibitions and seminal books for their careers. As an art dealer, I have to say I only started working recently, and I have started working recently in Vienna. And my path actually took me from Zagreb first to Ljubljana, where I finished my curatorial studies, and then to Berlin, where I was actually exposed to a more broader and global context of contemporary art. And for the last 3 years, I have been working in the heart of Europe, in Vienna, and simply finding my roots back in Central and Eastern European art. And this is why I think that this topic of cultivating togetherness is more important than ever, because I feel that only by collaborating, by working together, you can actually be the best versions of yourselves as artists. Maybe I can start from my personal experience and with 3 good examples of the artists that I have been working with for 20 years. Jasmina Cibic, Sheila Kameric, and Zlatan Vehabovic. Jasmina Cibic is a Slovenian-born artist who lives in London. She finished Goldsmiths and simply stayed and developed her whole career from London. And she is a very, very interesting person because she's developing a career very strongly connected to the museums without actually having any galleries representing her. Sheila Kameric is a Bosnian artist who lives between Sarajevo and Berlin. And her career is quite interesting because she does a lot of self-engaged, very activist projects, but at the very same time, she does have a support of the gallery. And Zlatan Vehabovic is an artist who is based in Zagreb, And he has a strong base of local collectors and curators supporting him, which is quite important because he simply wants to stay very local and bring back to the local community, also by teaching at the Academy of Fine Arts in Zagreb. So I thought that just by showing these three completely different people and how I worked over the years with them could show what are all these possible paths and possible ways of finding one's way in the contemporary art world. And what we have discovered at the very beginning of our careers is that local museums and local institutions are actually crucial for developing our careers. We could not even communicate or contact anyone outside of our borders before we were acknowledged at home. And this is a lecture that was quite important for us. And as I always say, because life is so long, the more we work, the more we feel that local community is really crucial for our careers. And we really need to sustain a local community in order to be able to actually reach out to the global community. And this is why I simply wanted to say that our exhibitions, such as Latan's or Yasmina's exhibitions at the Museum of Contemporary Art Zagreb, were very crucial in our paths. This is a very old exhibition. As you can see, it is over 10 years old in a tiny space of the Museum of Contemporary Art Zagreb, so not even in the main space. We were given a gallery within the museum, but we really use it well because what was important at that age for Zlatan Vehabovic was to have a reference that he actually exhibited and had a serious museum exhibition. And then it was also for us quite simple after presenting it in Zagreb to organize a traveling exhibition in different cities in Croatia. And this actually had a huge impact on his career because with these museum exhibitions, we could start applying for serious residency programs. And it simply opened up a completely new space for his art. And with Jasmina Cibits, it was actually the other way around. When she developed an international global career, her mission, and it was and it still is, was to bring this cultural capital back to the local communities with which she started her career. So whenever we would get enough funding to produce new artworks, either for other museums or for collectors, we would then try to also show the artworks to back in our local communities and bring this cultural capital back. So this is a very recent exhibition of Jasmina Cibits at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Zagreb. So in a way, what we have experienced is that in every path of our career, in every phase of our career, it's very important to cherish togetherness with local community, with local collectors, curators, even journalists, and totally newcomers to the art world, because in this cycle of life, we always come back to where we came from. And when we were in our 30s, we were applying for many different residency programs and for many different awards, as well as group exhibitions. Everywhere that we could apply for with juries, we simply went for it. And really beautiful things came out of this. And I will tell you now a little bit more about the residency programs, for example, which are, I think, very easy to find. And they give us this broader vision and broader community of artists and curators that we can meet globally. Because in the end, after really working a lot globally, even Zlatan Vehabovic, who went to the Arctic Circle, to the very North Pole of the world, we realized that at the very end, art community is tiny, and finding people who really trust our work and who we really trust is always tiny, even after 20 or 30 years of work. But these residencies actually connect us to the world and they open up new possibilities. For Zlatan Vehabovic, this was such a different experience from everything that he had in his life that the series of works coming out of this experience is considered maybe his most important series of works. And by coincidence, he actually got a gallerist from New York seeing his works and who started representing him. So Zlatan completely went out of his comfort zone and entered expected. And then we realized that at one point we also have to start developing residencies programs in Croatia. They are so crucial and we can connect to other residency programs that we actually developed a beautiful relationship with hotels in Rovinj in Croatia. These are the hotels that really care about art. They have wonderful collections of art, and they have even invited us as Nomad to curate one of their collections for the Hotel Adriatic in Rovinj, which opened up this space of trust where we could invite artists to get to know what this hospitality in Eastern Croatia is all about. And we have entitled the whole residency program Artist Meets Chef because we simply wanted to give a possibility to artists to rest, to not to do anything, because we realized that most of the residency programs ask from the artists to work on projects, develop artworks, even give the artworks to the organizers. And we wanted to offer space and time to bring out new ideas. So what I wanted to mention with the residency programs is that they are such a powerful tool of networking and bringing people from completely different sectors and fields together that we usually can't bring together in museums or in galleries or in any kinds of our exhibitions. And this opened up a new space of collaborations for the whole Nomad and for the whole community of the artists around Nomad. And it allowed us to tap into new talent, to invite artists that we knew of but never collaborated with, and connect on a more human way. And then when we really had these good museum exhibitions at home, we had really good residency programs, we realized we can actually apply for group shows and for awards. And it was, of course, we had to take one step at a time. It took us a while to understand how to really write all these proposals, how to really write all these CVs, and so on. But I have to say, we were rewarded. And I will tell you more about these rewards on these two examples with Jasmina Zibitz at the Spring Salon in Copenhagen and with Sheila Kamaric with Hot Mess in Berlin. So with Jasmina Zibitz, the Spring Salon in Copenhagen has an open call, very simple one actually, if any of you wants to check it out. It's in Kunsthal, it's in their Kunsthal in the center of Copenhagen, really, really beautiful facilities. And somehow Jasmina Zibitz's work was acknowledged there and got the first award of the Salon. And that meant that this salon was actually important for curators, mostly from Europe, and was attended by many different museum directors. So what actually happened is that the Museum of Modern Art in Salzburg director was there 10 years ago, saw Jasmina's work, and at one point, when he had spare time at the Museum of Modern Art in Salzburg, which was only 2 years ago, he actually invited Jasmina for her biggest solo show. So what I'm saying is that these paths are somehow not something we can really plan. Of course, we had no idea that he saw the show. Nonetheless, did we know that he really admired Jasmina's work until he reached to us a couple of years ago. So it actually took 7 years to see the result of this work, but the result was somehow always there. whenever we would be the best versions of ourselves, the result was always really there. And I have to say, these applications were quite a lot of work. I'm not sure I would have the strength to do them anymore, but it's a very rewarding work, especially for emerging cultural managers and artists. And it's a great way of finding a dialogue or connecting with each other. So this is something that I would always invite artists to do and try out. And I'm sure that the results will come very soon. With Sheila Kameric, the exhibition Hot Mess in Berlin was organized biennially, and I was invited in the one edition of this beautiful group show of Berlin Talent. And as Sheila was partly based in Berlin and partly based in Sarajevo, it was wonderful to show her works for the first time in this very inspirational setting, which is an old industrial building of Cool House in Berlin. And simply showing her talent next to global talent in Berlin, such as Olafur Eliasson or Alicia Kvade or Gregor Hildebrand and so on. And that meant that we really wanted to be hand in hand or next to the global talent that we have been collaborated for so many years. And these local communities, such as Hot Mess community, are the ones who sustain these local talents, and we simply became part of it when I lived in Berlin. And in a way, by being part of the local community in Croatia and then being part of the local community in Germany, brought me to the level where I can actually take part also in the local community in Vienna or in Austria. So the whole context is completely interconnected. But when it comes to galleries and fairs, I have to say I have a little bit of a less experience because I'm not a gallerist. But as an art dealer, I started to collaborate with galleries. And this became quite interesting. Zlatan has this Mark Strauss gallery in New York that I have mentioned earlier. And Sheila works with Tanja Wagner in Berlin, who is crucial for her local contacts. And this is quite interesting and completely new experience for me. And I strongly believe that it would be wonderful to have galleries coming from our territories, although it's quite hard to actually get into galleries, because galleries would always take artists upon artists who are coming from the markets that are already developed and well developed. But what we have discovered recently is that, first of all, galleries collaborate with other galleries. And as soon as one artist works with a good gallerist, the gallerist really trusts their own artists who can then suggest other artists. So knowing the artists who have galleries is a great tool to get into the galleries through them. And then the galleries would also connect between each other and collaborate to work with the same artist. And as an external art dealer, I have learned that then the galleries would also develop a network together with art dealers to cover the territories where they are simply not present. So in a way, for us, it has always been very hard to enter this world of galleries until we realize that the trust is actually based on the artists who are already within the galleries. And with Sheila Kameric and Tanja Wagner in Berlin, it's quite interesting because, as opposed to the Mark Strauss Gallery, which is a very commercial gallery, mostly selling artworks to other private collectors, Tanja Wagner Gallery is the one supportive of different practices that are maybe not so commercial and that are sometimes done for big exhibitions and biennials and triennials and so on, which means that one really has to feel which gallery would be appropriate for them. So this is also a hard part for us to understand, in which part of the art world do we even exist? Where do we see ourselves? And for us, it has been hard to find appropriate partners, good partners who are actually thinking in the same lines as we are and developing artist careers for them to be the best versions of themselves. And this is something that I feel coming from our territories, we are simply learning by doing. There are many mistakes, but also many rewards, just the same as with many open calls that we have done. So when it comes to art dealers, I can mostly talk from my own experience, and this simply comes because it opened up a completely new space of collaborations that I have never had in my life. And this is also interesting because there are many artists who are without galleries, because of course work with galleries is quite hard and there are many demands. So one really needs to define whether they want to work with the gallery or not. And work with art dealers might be a little bit softer. What it meant for me was that I actually had to find an investor. And Michal Šutalo in this photo is actually a collector who kindly invested into developing these artists' careers. Because part of what I do as an art dealer is actually social business, because I'm aware that we still need to invest back into exhibitions, back into books, in order to thrive our careers. And this is why this, I think, is so special, because many artists without galleries will actually collaborate on a short-term basis with art dealers, and maybe even through art dealers find their way to galleries. But many artists today are actually selling, of course, directly from their own studios, which in our territories comes as a given, sadly. But actually, for some, it's really a decision that has been made. And then finally, we got to these big international exhibitions that we were hoping for. And it took us, as I've said, sometimes over 10 years of working and tapping into these spaces to be able to take part in the Venice Biennial or the Museum der Moderne Salzburg, which I have mentioned earlier. And these international exhibitions are quite important for us because they allowed us a dialogue with top curators, top directors, top journalists, and in a way have elevated our presence in a global art world. And this year we have presented this project at the opening of the Venice Biennial for Sheila Kameric entitled Seas. Whereas for Jasmina Cibitz, the Museum der Moderne Salzburg is one of the most astonishing exhibitions of hers. And as I've said, it started, somehow the seed was there 7 years ago in Copenhagen. When it comes to private collectors, I have to say the passion of the private collectors is so important for our work. And even when I was working with blue chip top artists, one realizes that there are not so many big loyal collectors who would stay with us. And that means that we have really realized we want to develop a special relationship with collectors. And we have um, simply started fundraising events entitled Nomad Arts Weekends. I have just arrived to Rovinj actually for one of these events. And these are the events that are quite intimate, I would say, with mostly 30 collectors at a time. And in each of these events, we are fundraising for the seminal exhibition and the seminal book of two artists that we focus on in a year. So one could say we all have limits. There is not a lot of work that one organization can do, but with substantial work over the years, there are good results. Here in the photo, you can actually see us fundraising for Jasmina Cibitz and Sheila Kameric's books. And here you can actually see the presentations of the books when they are published. So we really try to show the collectors and we are really trying to show the community what we can do in this togetherness, what we can really achieve together. And then I think major players are also corporate collections and foundations. They are really rare in our territories, uh, but we feel that they are really, really building up. I will tell you a little bit more about my small experience with this. The first one is the Hotel Adriatic in Rovinj, which I have mentioned earlier, and the second one is the completely new collaboration in Vienna with the Unica SEE Future Foundation. With the Hotel Adriatic in Rovinj, what actually happened is that we had a carte blanche to invite international artists from Croatia and neighboring countries to develop site-specific works for the hotel collection. And then because we felt that there is a certain level of trust, we have offered a museum quality of works, and each artist worked for a year on site-specific works. They were really developed for this hotel, and the artists that we have invited have always been interested in local histories, local communities, and local stories. And this one that you see is the restaurant of the Hotel Adriatic with the works by Sofia Silvia and Jasmina Cibits. And they are still actually standing here today. And they are very, very important to the overall image of the company and of the hotel. And this is why we could actually develop the residency program Artist Meets Chef here in the very same hotel. And the Unica SCE Future Foundation is something completely new. It started 2 months ago with the Unica Insurance being interested in developing programs for young talents in sports, in film, and in visual arts. And we have developed a program which would actually promote mentors and mentees from Central and Eastern Europe through collaborative projects that would take over a year to develop. And hopefully in 2026, we would actually have all these exhibitions in making. So what I'm sorry, I think I actually, can you see it? Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can see it.
Can you see it? Can you still see it? Is it well?
Maybe just put it on the full screen. It's currently shrinked.
Thank you so much. Actually coming there and full screen. Hey, thank you. Excellent. And the last step that we took only recently, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, is that we got in touch with international publishers. For us, it was really hard working with all our local museums, all our friends and curators to actually get global distribution. So what it actually did is that we started working with Verlag für moderne Kunst in Vienna and with Verlag Distanz in Berlin, and we got to global audience. And this is quite amazing because book as a tool to promote the knowledge about our artists is so important nowadays, especially because books are so expensive to publish these days, that we thought we really need global exposure. Otherwise, having so many catalogs and books at home that are not distributed well is simply a waste of all our resources. So Verlag für moderne Kunst is one of these publishers really truly interested in Central and Eastern Europe, as well as Distanz Berlin. And they have this true knowledge of what global distribution means. And the same goes with press. With press, it took us years to develop contacts from local to a little bit more regional to more global. And it really, really takes time, especially because journalism in all over the world is in total jeopardy. So we really started with local media only to grow into international media. But just as I've said, with local museums, with local galleries, with local collectors. We are always going back and forth. We are always cultivating global, going back to local, because life is so long that we really need this really strong base locally to be able to grow globally. So within the local media, it is quite wonderful to talk in our mother tongue, of course, talking from our hearts. Whereas for international media, we had to learn how to verbalize what we felt in other languages and how to actually become part of this global international media. So this is something that I wanted to open up as myself from my own experience and invite you maybe to share all together what could be your experiences, what you think you can gain from my experience. I think I stopped sharing, so I think you can all actually also see me. Because there is so much work to be done to develop one's careers, and it's never an easy path, and one really needs to decide where to go and how to go forward. And I feel that only together we can really develop careers. I wouldn't exist without you, and I hope that you can actually use all the knowledge that I have and that my colleagues have, my partners, whoever I have mentioned today, and that I can maybe open a dialogue today for the rest of our time, that we can talk about what would be your realistic needs, what could be the context that I could share with you, or experiences, or the questions that you might have from your own practices and where you stand at the minute. Wait, let me just see. Can you all see me? Zara, are you there?
Yeah, we can see you.
Excellent, excellent. I think if I understood well, we all come from Croatia, from Slovenia, from Italy, Germany, Serbia, and Turkey. We could say that we are coming across similar challenges in developing our careers, and maybe finding togetherness is something that we can work on tonight. So you can let me know if there is anything that you feel I can do for you, or that you can do for each other. Or is it too late and you've had too much on your plate tonight?
So, can I ask something? It was really interesting. I really enjoyed your presentation. I wouldn't consider myself a true artist because I only lately started dabbing into my artistic side. I started as a web developer.
Okay.
So this artistic side in me was something I developed in childhood, but then I said, okay, this is not commercial. I'll just forget about it. And as it usually come out in a life later, you start to think about what I liked as a child, and art comes up. And art world is something I'm just getting to know, really. And I'm more interested in promoting of art, actually, than promoting my art. I'm interested in promoting art in general. So this
Okay.
story about you taking like 3 clients, and then it take like 10 years to some sort of prominence, to some sort of exposure. Is it usually this timeline? Is it really that this difficult to become prominent as an artist?
From my experience, where do you come from, Stella? Where do you work?
Croatia, Zagreb.
Based in Croatia. From my experience, we still coming from Croatia, come from margins of the art world. And this is the challenge, and that's why it does take quite long. Unless, like Sheila or like Yasmina, one actually moves to one of the centers of the art world. But this has also proven for them not to be so simple, because there is a lot of talent moving into these centers of art world. So my feeling is that because art world in general is quite slow, it does take time. But if you can find the lead with a single or more people, maybe together you can actually try to work on the lead. So each lead for us brought us new possibilities. So it looked like a small lead at first, but it actually brought another possibility. And this is how it worked, because the art world is really based on loyalty. It's based on word of mouth. And simply, it doesn't work with marketing. It just doesn't work. It really works only with people who trust each other. And that's why it was interesting for me to work with the artists who actually either moved to the centers of power, like Esmina to London, and had a new local community. I moved to Berlin to have a new local community, and we still had a local community in Ljubljana and in Zagreb. So I feel that connecting with people and artists that you trust, or cultural managers that you trust, who are in the areas where you would like to develop your career, is actually crucial. Doing it alone from Zagreb is a really tough. It's a really tough one. At least it was for us, and this is why we created these collectives, and we are still supporting each other, and I see it as the only way through. For example, if we look at more developed societies, such as my experience now in Austria, the role that Nomad, as the Croatian Office for Contemporary Art, has at home, we could say that Phileas, the Austrian Office for Contemporary Art, has in Austria. We started around the same time. We have always worked with Croatian artists and artists from the countries around Croatia, from the neighboring countries, and Phileas only with Austrian artists, to develop international careers and to produce artworks that could actually be shown internationally, in international exhibitions, in biennials and in triennials. And the reality is that Nomad is funded with around 8,000 euro per year from the Ministry of Culture, whereas Phileas is funded with around 800,000 euros per year. And this is a reality. This is actually a reality. And this was one of the reasons why I even moved from, Zagreb to Berlin to Vienna. There are more possibilities, but I don't think that one actually has to move. There are many paths, but I think one needs to be connected to the centers where art is really cherished and where we can achieve our goals. So when it comes to really promoting your art, I feel it has to be focused through people that know your work, who can really tell about your work to people that they trust, and this is simply how it works. So that's why it's a long path for us. I feel that for an Austrian artist, it might be a shorter path.
Yeah, 10 years seemed like a long path, but when you come to the destination, it's probably rewarding. And I also wanted to ask you about this collaboration with Croatian hotels, boutique hotels, luxury hotels. Is there a place for artists to, in this collaboration, maybe earn exposure? And how are hotels looking at the Croatian artists or artists from the region? And
this is a beautiful field. Actually, it's really about getting space for smaller works, maybe not for seminal works, but for smaller works. but it is a good field because it allows for a different presentation. And in my experience, it was great for us to work with hotels on the collections, because then we could develop programs where we could bring collectors to see what we are doing. So they became our hosts with these beautiful spaces that we have never had. So this is, I think, a beautiful way to do it. I have to say that I find getting opportunities to work with hotels really hard. I am in contact with many, many different artist studios and architectural studios, and they do always have us in mind, but somehow it seems that hardly ever budgets allow to work with professional artists. So I think it might be time for us to really consider how to enter hotels, maybe not with our seminal works, but maybe with some touches of our work, and allow us for this space to open up. So this is quite interesting. One of the people I know the opportunities. Just like with hotels, it's so hard to get these good residencies, and it's a lot of competition. And this actually is a reality. When we were applying for residencies and for awards, we were getting 1 in 10. But one really, especially today with ChatGPT, one can really do it quite fast. It used to take us days to develop a competition, but nowadays I think if one has a strict way of seeing their own work and simply aligning with what the open call is about, one can get it out pretty fast. But I have to say it was 1 of 10, so it wasn't really like so many opportunities. That's why I presented only 2, but these 2 were crucial for their careers. So I feel it's actually worthwhile. I actually think it's worthwhile trying out. But for hotels, I'm still figuring out how to get it into more of work, and not to be a one-time work for me, especially, and for the artists. And I feel we have to start thinking about hotels as spaces where art can be as a backdrop, and maybe not. We don't really have to think about seminal works, putting them into the hotels, right? And then I see that many people are also asking about galleries. Christina, you have also asked about the gallery, which is quite important to see how to suggest good galleries in Vienna, because galleries could actually have access to hotels, I feel, and are more connected to completely this whole private sector. And in Vienna, galleries are quite also quite closed, in the sense that they really cherish what the artists that they work with already suggest. So it would be most interesting to see if you know any of the artists who are already with the galleries, and simply ask them if they can send your own portfolio to their own gallery. And this then goes quite fast. In our experience, this actually goes quite fast. And whereas if an external person suggests to the gallery that they want to suggest an artist, it's very hard, because galleries do trust their artists, because artists already know how gallerists works. And this is also important for them to sustain some kind of logic within their work. So in Vienna, I can suggest galleries. I can also send them afterwards, but I don't think it makes sense for me to send in your name, or for you to send directly to galleries, unless you know the artists in the gallery, or get to know the artists in the gallery because they are close to your work. I feel that also connection between artists can be quite strong. Yasmina and Sheila didn't know each other at all before we started working at Nomad, and now they are really supporting each other. So I think that's quite something what I thought that this togetherness is about. It's really about this human contact and loyalness, and trusting a person who speaks for you. So it's really far from all everything that maybe you have experienced, Stella, as a web developer. It's quite an intimate world in the end. And Natasha, you have asked exactly. You have asked that you have tried to gain visibility and reliable gallery via social media and place to exhibit in the Biennial in Skopje, in Dona Trieste. And you're part of the Association of Fine Arts. Wait, Natasha, can you speak out?
I'm a little bit voice.
You're voiceless. You're voiceless.
Yes, yes. I try to talk. I have some problems because I don't have a lot of, let's say, my art circle is not so good in Slovenia because I was studying in Italy, and when
Mhm.
I came to my hometown, I begin of the beginning. I didn't have so many connections in Ljubljana and so on, and it's difficult to me even now
Mhm.
find a place to exhibit. It's better for me to find in Italy or as I told you, in Skopje or Trieste than in Slovenia. And I'm in this circle, but I keep going on. I try some other exhibitions, curators, and so on, but it's slowly. If you
Yeah,
know.
it's always slow. It is always slow. From what I've seen from your presentation from the last time and from when we met, um, it's a very interesting artworks, but it's very hard to say from my point of view how to really reconnect, because I would say that I'm not sure if you know, but Klaus Biesenbach, who is now the director of the Neue Nationale Galerie in Berlin,
Yes.
he was away. He was away from Germany for many years. He's the one who started the Kunstwerke in Berlin and Berlin Biennial when he was an emerging curator, and went to the US and developed his career through the PS1 at MoMA and then the LACMA Museum and so on.
Mhm.
What really happens is that now that he's in his 50s, he returned back to his home country. He returned to Germany,
Mhm.
and he's leading the Neue Nationalgalerie. And I've seen so many on so many occasions that we actually all have a feeling that we all want to bring this cultural capital back home.
Yes.
So I feel that if you can find that one person that you remember from Slovenia and from Italy,
Mhm.
that you can start developing further intimate contacts, I think that's it. I think that's actually it. Because I worked for many years with Olafur Eliasson, who started his career in Berlin in his 20s with Klaus. And now that Klaus came back 40 years later, they are developing projects. I feel that not so many people in the art world. There must be somebody from your community that trusts in you and that you trust. Who is that, Natasha? Somebody from Slovenia or Italy? Because if somebody from Italy can actually then talk to somebody from Slovenia, it actually works for the rest of your life.
Mhm. I have some few connections, but I didn't ask now. But I will. But now I found my very good friends, can I say? They had a big winery in Goriška Brda, very known in the whole world for their wine, and they give me opportunity to make a solo exhibition, and it's permanent. And there I find a lot of response and visibility, and a lot of people from America comes to buy wine but also to buy my art.
But maybe engage with them. See if you can engage personally as well. Engaging with your artworks is very strong, but as we all know, if you are there, if
Mhm.
you can actually see if there is some kind of a program that you can develop with them where you can be in a personal contact with people, especially if you see it actually brings results. This
Mhm.
is something I'm sure you can
Yes, yes, you're
really,
right.
really develop further, because from all of these tens or hundreds of people coming there, with that one person that will develop further your career. That's what I mean. It's one or two people that you stay in touch with for the rest of your career, right? In the end, you work with maybe 10 great curators, but it's one or two people. And finding those people and stuck to those people, I think that's it. And in my experience with my artists, these were the people that came out of the projects that we could never imagine would actually happen. So it's not about really planning, sadly. Our paths might be, it might be stressful because we can't plan it. It's fruitful if we stay here long enough. So I feel, but do call me, Natasha, if there is anything you feel I can do for you there, or develop a project for them with you, any kind of a project where you would be physically present there. I think that's actually crucial because people would trust you as a person, which is very, very important in the art world. There are many, many beautiful artworks. It's unbelievable. We all know how many beautiful artworks are there, but people really trust people in the art world.
Yes, you're right. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Natasha. And Jelena, you've asked, can you give advice to a young artist? Can you show yourself, Jelena? Wait, I haven't seen you. Wait.
Just a second. um, Currently cannot because I have a hair mask on and it will be uncomfortable for me.
Okay.
So yeah, 2 years ago I graduated from Fine Art Academy in Zagreb, and I'm starting my art career. So far, I've done a few solo shows and a few more group shows, and I'm kind of lost. I'm constantly applying to galleries, to open calls, but when it comes to residencies, I never get the call.
Interesting. Where did you show your works? Where were the exhibitions?
So Student Center in Zagreb, Dom Omladine in Belgrade, and in Narodno Sveučilište Dubrava. So those were my last 3 shows.
Who is director at Dom Omladine Belgrade?
Marta, just a second, sorry.
Who did you work with there actually? Is it where is it? Which space is it? Where is it?
Dom Omladine. It's like the main youth center there. Marta Markovic.
Marta Markovic. And in Student Center, who did you work with? In Zagreb?
With Ksenia Baronica.
With Ksenia Baronica. Okay. What was the third exhibition?
In Dubrava, in Narodno Sveučilište with Sveber Vidmar.
With Sveber Vidmar. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Sadly, Ksenia is not connected well. Ksenia is not connected well. Interesting. So are these your main contacts that you had so far?
No, I have few of them. I mean, I graduated from the academy, so I know Zlatan Vehabovic is my professor, so I know most of them, but I'm kind of lost, and I don't know. I do not feel like I'm maybe grown enough or that I'm important enough. I don't know. It's just
nothing like important enough. There is nothing like. But tell me, do you know Natalia Paunic from Belgrade?
No, I don't. I mean, I studied in Belgrade. I was there on Erasmus program, and I loved it, and I love the scene there. I think they're amazing.
But Jelena, can you send me? Can we stay in touch? I feel that Natalia Paunic. You would have to tell me more about your practice. But Natalia Paunic is a very, very interesting person who just came from London back to Belgrade. and is trying to start Autocomanda, which is a new non-profit space that actually brings together different collectors. Maybe who was there from Belgrade with us? Was there anybody else from Belgrade with us? Or not tonight?
I heard about Autocomanda.
She's really great. I would have to see your work to see whether it actually aligns with what she does. She's very attentive to strategies of love and care in arts. But can you then, Jelena, afterwards, maybe we can also stay in contact and maybe meet up next week?
I would love that.
To see your work, because if you said Belgrade, she's actually quite prominent emerging curator that we have been working very, very well. And yeah, in student center, sadly, Xenia is more of an administrative person working, so she's not who curated your show?
Actually, it was a kind of a sloppy job because a student, I mean, nothing against students, but the girl who was my main curator was a student of second year of art history, and I was not the happiest with the results. So,
Okay. Okay, and did you have any good experiences when you were making exhibitions with some of the curators that you felt could promote you further and could help us in promoting you further?
no. Like, okay, so the most comfortable experience was definitely Belgrade, because I felt there like a superstar, and it was something that I was definitely not used to. I mean, I was giving interviews, we were filming, they prepared everything I asked for. None of that happens ever, especially in group exhibitions or even student center or the other one in Dubrava.
Yeah, I had that feeling. Yeah, I had that feeling when you told me. Okay. Okay, but excellent. I think that's then the territory to actually to see what actually works. Quite interesting. Natalia is, I mean, she's very well connected, and that there are many other possibilities then as well. The student center itself, for us, it was also quite interesting to experiment, but not really much helpful in our future careers. It gave us space to experiment. That was quite important for us at the time. And in Dubrava, I've actually never worked, so I don't have this experience. What is your experience with Dubrava? Do you think they can help you out a little bit more?
No, I mean, I work, I mean, it's a great idea and that's a great space, but I mean, I teach there. I'm teaching drawing and painting there. It's a part-time job, but I think that, but they look at it as it's a part-time thing to like exhibit work or have those classes. Everything is like a part-time, okay, let's do it just because we are the institutions to do it. It's not something that people have much passion about, and that's sad because I'm from Dubrava. I've grown up here, and culture center is really important to me because I was more at the culture center than at home.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I totally agree.
I mean,
Agree.
it's just sad. It's just disappointing.
Okay. I think we have to start from the best lead that you had, and that's Belgrade, and then explore it. It's always about what feels right, and start exploring it. What doesn't feel right, you just simply have to get rid of it. Sadly, maybe it was a good opportunity to experiment, to try something new and move forward. We did our first exhibitions at the Student Center, both with Zlatan Vehabovic and with Tarvuk. And
Actually, what are those years?
wow, wait. Wait, I have to see in my Dropbox. 2 seconds.
Because I think I've seen it.
With Zlatan Vehabovic exhibitions. 2 seconds. Mm, 2006.
I think my mother dragged me to the show. I think
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I mean, it can be a good starting point. And what's interesting for our territories, I think Belgrade is very, very interesting, especially with people coming back to Belgrade. And because I live now in Vienna, I feel that for all of us, Vienna is quite an interesting territory because they do like to embrace the whole Central and Eastern Europe and explore what we are actually doing. When I lived in Berlin, in order for us to exhibit in Berlin or to present ourselves in Berlin, we in a way were exoticized, and we had to present somewhat a story either about a trauma of coming from a transitional country or be very politically and socially engaged, which could be interesting for some artists, but for some artists it's completely out of interest. So what I found about Vienna is that, for example, Museumsquartier has quite an interesting residency programs, which I don't know if you have all seen. They are really, really good. And these are the residency programs that I could also offer. If you show me your works, I could also write letters for you for the applications. These are somehow have shown to be quite a prominent spaces where one can not only experiment but actually meet people, right? So what comes to my mind is maybe for all of us to think, um, who are these people who can connect us in the art world further. So in Belgrade, I would say it's definitely Natalia, which is quite interesting. And I would say when you mentioned residency programs that are really hard to get, maybe Museumsquartier could be of an interest to see, because it's quite an open call. People from our territory are really welcome. And I have met really tremendous Slovenian and Croatian artists in Vienna exactly there. So these are the two first things that come to my mind, but then we can also talk more afterwards if you think that could be useful for you.
I would love that. I put in the chat my email address.
Excellent. I'm writing mine here as well. Excellent. Excellent.
If you don't mind, I will send you my portfolio and some work.
Absolutely, that would be great to start a conversation. Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. What my possibilities are at the moment is that I'm in contact with Museumsquartier, and I think this residency program could be of interest, maybe for also many other of you. Feel free to reach out to me. Then there is a Strabag Foundation in Vienna, and I work closely with them. And at the moment, they actually have an award for Slovenian-based artists. I'm not sure if you have seen it. Anybody from Slovenia? Have you guys seen it? Actually, it's a beautiful award for emerging artists, and then it allows an artist not only financial support but also an exhibition in Vienna. So this is quite a wonderful opportunity, and I'm trying to negotiate with them to also bring in Croatian talent in the next years. So these are some calls that really, really worked out easily for us and for my artists. And yeah, many things would come up to my mind when we talk more in depth about your own work. Have you exchanged your work between yourselves within this group before or not? Did you get to know each other as artists before in this group? or was there an opportunity to actually exchange your CVs and portfolios and to get to know each other and how you can support each other as artists? Not really. Okay. Okay. Okay, but then what I would suggest, this is my email. If you would like to send me your portfolio or anything that you think is the fastest way for me to feel how you work and what you do. If you want to stay in dialogue, that's also one thing. But also, I guess when you hear each other talking in other presentations, I would really advise to connect with each other, to reconnect. I cannot emphasize how much my artists are doing for each other. I just cannot emphasize it. It's really unbelievable what it means to be connected to other artists that have even completely different ways of working, but the same empathy towards developing careers. So I think it's quite important to use this platform also to connect with each other and of course also with us. So that's why I find this dialogue very, very interesting and crucial for the future of your work. And maybe even these 2 hours are not are never enough, right? And it's just a beginning. It's just a beginning as always. And I see that Stella, you have written. Let me just go back to this. Social skills. I know it is fascinating how social skills play such a crucial role in fields like art, where we might assume individual creativity is the main focus, but unfortunately, maybe many artists are actually introverted and painfully shy. This is really, yeah, this is sadly a reality. It's actually, I have to say, I'm also an introvert. It took me a long time to learn to verbalize what I do. It took me a long time to find energy for everything that the art world needs from me, but it actually is crucial and it is rewarding in the end. I just like in every field, it's really hard to get out there without being yourself, but at the very same time you have to show who you really are. Nobody else can do it for you. This was maybe the toughest thing for me, actually, being an introvert, but one can learn it. One can learn a lot. I worked a lot with artist Olafur Eliasson, who is a true extrovert and through whom I've learned these tools and methods of how to actually do it and how to become more prominent in verbalizing what is actually important. I'm sorry that I don't have a better answer. And Sabine, have you raised your hand or?
Yes, I would like to ask you also some questions. I recently come back to art. I'm from art and now living in a small village near Dubrovnik. And in the middle, I was working for corporate world, but art was my true love from the beginning. And what I did, I find one UK organization, United Art Space, that give me the tools to follow the steps how to make from my art my career.
Interesting.
Because this is something that I didn't find in Croatia, and also I find that what you're talking, that this connection was precious, because every year I collect the people from Croatia that applying for their program, and we have the small community, and we are really supportive to each other. And what I find really interesting was, yes, I know that we are all introvert and we all would like to work in our studio. I'm the first one that I would like to paint, not to deal with the administration work or the archive tips kind of work, to archive all my work and describe everything when where I was exhibit. But I see that it was the necessary for me to be visible and to apply for the exhibition, also not only in Croatia but abroad, to test myself, to see what the market is looking for, and to be more confident in my art and what I'm doing. I also use the American online platform, the Artwork Archive, for almost 2-3 years, and I'm so satisfied because it's really helped me to present me and my work to the collectors and to the galleries. This is all the tools that I learned from that organization.
Can you tell us more about United Art Space? Which tools or how did it actually help you, or what is their mission?
Their mission is to help artists to do art, to develop their art, or if they want to become the professional artist, they give them the steps. I go through their program. It was not cheap, and I also use, but for me, it was really helpful for me. And not only me, I see the artists from all over the world, and I'm so happy to be connected with them, how their steps help us to move, like they make the roadmap and the step and the lesson that we should follow to develop, just to understand what is going on. Because like Jelena was talking, we are not having the tool or the steps, how, where, or to go after the finish the school, or if we don't have the academic education, how can we represent ourselves in where to find the open call, the contest, the residency. So here in Croatia, we are using the Culturnet. I'm also using from Artwork Archive. They have the open call residency from all over the world. And I find some really quality foundation and for grants, for exhibition, if somebody want to apply. So what I would like to ask, I was having exhibition solo this year here in Croatia and Zagreb in Croatian Art Society, but I am also the part of the
Croatian Association of Artists.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was feel that it is important to have behind me some art association to maybe help with creating my work, but I see that not enough space to have the exhibition to be enough visible. It was the major problem here in Croatia. Also, because of that, with a colleague artist, I used the curator from Italy, because I wish to have independent curator to see my work and write me opinion, because I couldn't get that in Croatia, and maybe it's not good to say, but I still feel that the old school and the way of working with art in Croatia wasn't it isn't so helpful for Croatian artists. So because of that, I paid that Italian curator, and she really gave me the great review and helped me to see in which direction I could develop my work. So this is my main issue. I would like to have the mentor or curator who will follow me and maybe see what is the part that I should develop deeply, and which part of my art maybe to change or adapt or something else. What was also the benefit from that experience, now she know what I'm doing and in which gallery and in which competition I could fit. And this was really amazing. She gave me a lot of great opportunity. But what was the problem? The money. Because sending the work abroad, take care about all the expenses, the security, and then coming back. It was the most of time that I made decision to not apply for that great exhibition because maybe the moment was not right or something else. But I see that it is a lot of opportunity for the artists, but we really have to be exposed. We have to expose ourselves to that opportunity, and yeah.
It's interesting how you put it, because when I can really feel it when we worked in Berlin on the Hot Mess exhibition. There was this strong feeling that all the artists that came from other curators came from quite privileged situations. So I would say that in transitional countries, art is crucial for us to survive. But actually, in developed countries, art is truly a privilege. And the truth is, it is really expensive to develop careers. I mean, this actually is the truth, and I.
Do you think it is crucial to have a curator who is following us and follow our work?
It's actually crucial, just like I've said with Klaus Biesenbach and Olaf Eliasson. It is really crucial because this curator can be your right-hand person with their own life and their own network
An experience.
and their own experience. I think if you feel that you have find a dialogue with this curator, it is truly a rarity, actually, and this is something to cherish. But also, honestly, ask this curator for advice. This is something that I haven't done for a long time before I realized you can really ask people for advice and for suggestions. This curator might feel that there are friends and curators who could actually benefit from your work and you could benefit from their work. But unless you ask, they will actually maybe not even tell you. So it's also a benefit of really asking for advice that allows curators to grow also through your work, and maybe think about how it can allow her to grow through her work because she knows you. And I think she's such. Is it a she?
Yes, she.
I somehow assumed. I'm not sure why. Did you say it's a she, or I assumed it's a she?
Yes, it is she.
I I feel that maybe you can ask, you can really ask her if she has any idea of, a critic or curator who she knows who could be interested in writing or showing your work and moving forward. Because I do know that all of these open calls could be super expensive, especially if you send out works. It's really expensive. Sadly, sadly, this is still our challenge. My most of my artists are in their 40s and in their 50s, just like I am, and we are still struggling with the cost, right? So this will never go away. It will never go away. It's more about finding ways, just like, I'm not sure if you saw the Venice Biennial, the Croatian presentation of the Venice Biennial, which is actually based on these non-official networks and how we can help each other and support each other. And this is actually how we work. So my feeling would be that maybe you can really ask the Italian curator for her advice. This could motivate her to reach out to people that she otherwise wouldn't reach, or maybe she would want to reach to them for the sake of her own career, but just didn't have the right moment or the right reason to reach out to them. And two of you together could find good reasons actually to reach out to people that could be helpful for both of you, and simply ask. And this is somehow how I think you can move on that ladder. But the fact that you already said that you have a toolbox from the United Arts Space is quite astonishing. I actually don't know about them. And this is quite astonishing to see how through these organized platforms one can develop their knowledge and systemize knowledge, right? So this is also quite interesting to understand how they work. And also maybe, where did you say that you lived, in which city? Near Dubrovnik?
I'm now near Dubrovnik, yes, Dubrovnik. I was living in Zagreb 10 years now, and Dubrovnik almost 18 years.
Okay.
And I would like to find somebody's creation. I appreciate the advice that this curator gave me from Italy, but somehow I would like to find somebody in Croatia. I think it will be maybe more simpler, or
But
I
can I
will not
ask
use
you,
the
Sabina,
potential to I would like to connect somebody here, because it is much, yeah.
it's very important. I agree, totally important to connect with local community. Totally agreed. But can we then stay in contact? So
Of course.
the
Yes,
curators
sure.
that I know from Dubrovnik are Jelena Taminđija Donart. She is a curator at the Umjetnička galerija Dubrovnik, the Museum of Modern Art Dubrovnik, and she's very interested, and her curiosity is super interesting. I've been collaborating with her for many years, and I feel that she is open to understanding the landscape in Dubrovnik art scene. And there are some very interesting artists there, female artists, that she could maybe connect you as well to, who are becoming a little bit more successful, or not successful, but maybe more visible outside of Dubrovnik. She works closely with Iva Laterza and with Ivona Šimunović. And of course, with many different artists from Dubrovnik. I think Dubrovnik could maybe be a safe space to start exploring, just like you've said, maybe.
When I moved to Dubrovnik, I start to make commercial art, and I know that this is selling, but I
excellent.
I can do it today, but I don't feel connected with that kind of art.
But that can fuel your career. That can actually fuel your career. If you don't come from a privileged situation, that can actually fuel your career. If you can then still find time and energy and inspiration for things that matter to you. I mean, excellent. Unless it drains you.
It is no. That is not my kind of coffee. So yeah, if I will be really starving artist, I know what I have to do to survive. But if I have to, if I can choose, I will develop my painting style further.
Excellent. But super, let's stay in contact. I think Dubrovnik could be interesting. I'm also exploring it newly because I haven't done any exhibitions in Dubrovnik for quite a while. But I think it could be an interesting territory because it's so remote that it has actually developed a certain togetherness or a certain system within itself.
Yes. Thank you so much, Vanja.
Hey, thank you. Nice.
I will just write you my email also.
Thank you. Excellent. And Kintia, you said you wanted to develop your career further with your PhD, right?
Yeah.
Is it where in Vienna?
Yeah, in Vienna, Fine Arts, I think Fine Arts University or Fine Arts School, it's called, with a practical PhD. And I'm initially coming from Riga and just also finished last year Masters in Riga Art Academy.
Okay.
And a little bit similar, like one of us already mentioned about kind of being lost and trying to apply for all kinds of residencies, etc.
Okay.
But yeah, I moved now to Leipzig. I'm between Leipzig, Berlin. So with this idea to be closer to the center, sort of.
Excellent.
And then I thought, okay, I want just to continue because I like really kind of writing like academic articles together with practice. And I thought, okay, let's do this PhD and through the institution kind of meet the community. Would you suggest that or not? And also I can say I'm 40, which is not 20 anymore. So yeah, what would you say?
Is it Academy of der Bildende Kunst that you are talking about, or?
In Vienna?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This is very interesting path, actually. There are a couple of things to say there. So in Vienna, when one is an artist based in Vienna, you get all the rights that the Austrian artists have to apply for grants.
Yeah.
And this is a completely different scene from whatever we can imagine. It's a real luxurious scene, and with a lot of social benefits. From getting studios for reasonable prices to connecting automatically with curators, agents, and so on.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. What I've seen is that even artists coming from Great Britain or France, meaning from the first world countries, actually stay in Vienna after graduating because it's such a social country and it appreciates art so much that simply there are more opportunities. I work with an artist, her name is Kristina Ivanovska. She comes from Macedonia. She actually finished PhD there. And this has opened up territories for her. She had beautiful shows at Kunsthalle together with Jane Chalovsky, who is her life and also art partner. They now actually have a great Turkish gallery in Berlin. It really opened up worlds. It's nothing that one can promise, but from my experience and experience of the artists that I've met here in Vienna, it's a different world and it's quite promising. When it comes to Berlin and Leipzig, what I've said is that, and I can repeat it from my experience, is that unless we are exoticized, we are never part of this narrative, right?
Yes, I felt that as well. I came to Leipzig through internship and, well, met like Leipziger artists and also a little bit of Berlin. And I felt this exoticity sort of and objectifying in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would happily connect it to Christina. She's a wonderful person. She now lives in Berlin, actually. She finished this PhD, and maybe she can give you first-hand experience, a reality of it, more in depth, which of course, I don't know it. I know more of this afterlife in Vienna. Because you're so close by, you could maybe also actually meet in person.
It would be nice because, well, the applications are on February usually in the year, and I'm starting to search for the professors whom I could connect to in Vienna, like who are related to my topic in arts. But I found it quite hard to.
Do you know some names? Who is it?
No, I just approximately remember their faces, but I started to search for them, and there were maybe two right now in Vienna University that I felt like, okay, these two could work. one was short-haired women, other one was a guy, but I can't say the names. No, not yet.
But you can also send me the names later if you find them. But I think Christina could be crucial here for just understanding whether this is really a path. I
Yeah.
know that she could also do it by living also in Skopje and in Berlin and coming occasionally to Vienna. One can also combine, so this is not a challenge.
Yeah.
But honestly, having an address in Vienna could be really fruitful, and having the rights here, social rights of artists in Vienna, it's quite interesting. I think that do send me an email, and we can connect to Christina first, and then maybe see if I know any of the teachers or the professors that you think are interesting. That are interesting in there, and take it from there. And I really feel, coming from Berlin to Vienna, that Vienna is a more friendly territory for our work. It's much easier to explain why we made certain decisions, how we do them. We almost don't have to explain, and we naturally somehow historically do belong to this territory. But also, if you send me your work, and we can see who could also be some of the curators here in Vienna that you could connect to, and take it from there. If you think Vienna is the place that could be, we could find ways. Just like Sabina has decided for Dubrovnik, and really could be great, to be rooted in the city where you've decided to develop further career. I think it's quite important to find the right people. And
true. Yeah, totally true. The other question I had was that my topic is quite related to philosophy, together with some space research, like quite scientific, mathematical sometimes.
Okay.
And then I find it hard to go out to scientists. I don't know. Yeah, have you had experience with when an artist tries to connect with completely different, like niche, and tries to connect with people there, and then something comes out. Yeah, I'm not sure how to approach that. I remember once there
What
was
do
this.
you mean space? Is it space like outer space, or like architecture?
A space like outer space, like universe, like cosmical space, like black holes.
But actually, Vienna is the center of the, what is it called? The European Space Program, is it?
Yeah.
Hey, I actually, I know a scientist there, actually.
Awesome.
But they are really interested in connected with arts. This is quite interesting. They have this curiosity, but have no knowledge of arts. I take them sometimes to these exhibitions, and it's quite interesting. It is really a different world. It's
Totally.
I have to say, they are really interested. I think they could be. Please write me. I will connect you to this researcher there. He's astonishing. He's a very emerging, astonishing researcher, super interested in art. He was trying to find ways to fund art for this space, to buy for this space. So maybe there is a collaboration also for their space in the future. And you would be astonished. People are really curious. I mean, what the knowledge and the intuition that we have, science simply doesn't have. What we can do emotionally for our audience, and where our audience can arrive emotionally after being engaged with art, science cannot deliver this. And this is really our value. And this is what they know, because of course one can learn the facts, but one can really not integrate them. We can integrate them all through our emotional integration of space, art, and what we actually experience. And I think many more and more people are aware of this. So I think it could be a great way to find a dialogue. It could be a great way to find dialogue, but you will have to remind me that to connect with him. Yeah, he's really good.
I will. Yeah, thank you. I just remember applying to maybe CERT, like CERT, which is like the
I
place for,
know.
yeah. And then they had super duper like open calls, but they were on a level, like on a very like established artists level, and I couldn't really
CERN, right?
CERN, yeah.
Yeah, about CERN. Were those local or global?
I think they were European at least. I'm not sure if global, totally global, but European definitely.
Because I remember that there is a Croatian collective container that collaborated closely to CERN.
Yeah.
And Croatian artists did actually connect, but I honestly, wait, I honestly don't remember how. Let me just see how it worked. Whether it was local or did they really connect on European level? CERN residency in Croatian language. So it was actually for Croatian artists. Wait, accelerate Croatia. That's why Croatian artists could go. It was through container, which is if you're interested in space, I think they should be. They should be a point of reference for you. I can connect you to them. They are quite amazing. Wait, I will send you also their link here. They are connected to CERN, and they did this open call for Croatia for CERN. They are one of the most astonishing collectives, curatorial collectives I've ever came across in Croatia. Like really amazing. And with the European space space agency. I have to. Okay, but I will find all of this once we get in contact. I will find all of this.
It's already a lot. Thank you very much. I mean, yes, I will write an email.
My experience in Vienna, I truly advocate people trying to use this as a center, even for some time, not even for really to try it out.
Yeah, I will do.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, these are really interesting topics. Wow, these are really interesting topics. But thank you also for sharing them with me. I would really hope to stay in contact because, as I've said, we can only move forward together. And I honestly experienced this, and there is no other way really. And we are all very and too busy, so it might take a while for us all to reconnect. But also give me time, or I will also give you time, because life is long and art world is so slow that I think time is actually of no essence here. So do let me know if I can help you with any of your further work or advice. I know it's quite late. I think we are also far behind our time. Did it take too long, or did we have this time planned? What is your feeling, Magda and Zara? I think they're all off.
No, I'm
Totally
here. I just
tired.
I was not I was too far away from the phone. Vanya, you were amazing. We are on time because you have I think 15 minutes left.
Excellent.
Or is it until 8:45 something? But I think if you want to, yeah, there's another question from Stella. If you can just answer that, and we can close for tonight.
Excellent. Is there a current trend in visual arts that is significantly boosting the prominence and sales of artists. Has, I actually don't know. Wait. I actually don't know. Last year was really all about very emerging talent and bringing, the galleries were bringing in all kinds of very, very emerging talent, betting on them, rising prices, but I'm also afraid that they were ruining their careers too early on. And then after that, the trend was to bring in artists that were not visible enough in our history, mostly deceased female artists, and then which is also the trend that I wasn't very I wasn't taking part in it, because actually all of these artists, female artists, that were deceased, actually died almost in hunger, and now these big top 10 big galleries are actually making money on the artworks that they found in the cellars. So in a way, I am reading what is going on, but I am not part of these trends, especially because these trends are made by really most powerful people in the art world, and I come from a very marginalized position. And the fact that I can simply take part in the art world with the artists that I truly believe in is a privilege. So the trends will probably never be part of my career. That's why I sadly don't have the answer to your question. Um, but this is something that one could learn to and find, especially from all the media that I read. I would say that art newspaper is the one most about trends and daily stuff, which could be useful. And simply by following topics you could probably feel these trends, but I simply was never interested in them because I could never take part in them. So sadly, I don't have a better answer. Sadly, I don't have a better
Yeah, I wanted just to know if there's something that is like really selling right now. Sometimes it's people from war zones, their perspective of art and life. It's always something. And I don't know if there is a current trend that is really popular in art galleries in New York.
No, actually, I think art world. I mean, it's so complex, and there's so many stakeholders, and the more I became part of the art world, I realized that there are so many pockets of the art world that one needs to decide in which pocket you belong. And one can follow trends, but I really belong into one tiny pocket, and I'm trying to hold on to this pocket and to people creating this pocket, and that's pretty much it. Everything I read about trends simply never had any real impact on my work, even when I knew about it. Never. Wow. No, thank you. A really good question. But yeah, I as I said, I feel that life is long and one has their own beliefs, and then we follow them. That's why I could never follow trends. And Magda, what is your feeling with so many different artists here? Can we reconnect them somehow? Is there a platform where we can exchange our contacts and see our?
So yeah, The whole project actually lasts till January 2026. So
Okay.
all of these ladies here. So here is just one part of participants of the academies who wanted to listen, who were able to listen to the lectures live. But everything is actually pre-recorded, and there are really a lot of them who will listen to the lectures later pre-recorded. They will all be involved into an exam, theoretical and practical, which will be, we have to just see what the final topic will be. We had some discussions because they will need to create an NFT and also have this theoretical exam, and then they can actually apply with their NFT into actually to gain a possibility of exhibiting during 2025 in Milan, Ljubljana, and during the Industrial Biennale in Labin. So this is now where they're enrolled in the whole Flux project that is going to last for more than a year, because it's, as I said, January 2026, and they are all present here in the Telegram channel, so they can interact with each other. This is what's important. Unfortunately, Vanya, you don't have Telegram, so I think you don't, or?
I'm not since Berlin, wait, but I can.
Yeah, but you know, Telegram is like is a channel which is like really for the Web3, for the blockchain community, and it was important for us to have them onboarded to Telegram because of all the connections, because of the easiness of material sharing. So they are all involved into this chat, and they can interact with each other. Not all of them are involved in the Telegram at the moment because they probably didn't download it, but hopefully they will. But a lot of them are already inside, and this is where they can chat and ask questions, where they get all the instructions, all the news, all the materials, etc. So I don't know if I've sent you also the schedule. They had some really interesting topics. Ladies, I hope that you had that it was useful so far, and hopefully it will be also useful in the next days. We still have tomorrow Damir First, who is amazing in storytelling. Vanya, if you can join and listen to him, or we can send you the recorded version, the link, because he's such an interesting person. He was living in China for like 12 years, and now he moved. I think that he mastered the art and history. What's it called at the Faculty of Philosophy in Zagreb? That he majored in povijest umjetnosti.
Okay, history of art.
History of art. And he's really into the new technologies and storytelling and augmented reality. And I actually have to say that personally, I've learned a lot from him when it comes to storytelling. And this part with the storytelling is so important no matter what you do. Is it art selling, art creating, like every aspect of the business? I'm not into art. I'm not working in art. I'm in fintech, in blockchain, in Web3. I'm a business development person, but it's so important to master definitely this storytelling part, and to know how to tell people a story, what you do, how, to also share emotions, passion, like a vision, and not so it doesn't last, for, I don't know, hours. So it's like short and summarized, but you can say it with such an easiness. So he will share it tomorrow. And also Clara, who is we are so proud of Clara because she's been part of Alice in Blockchains Association since the beginning. She's working in Google in Dublin, and she will also tell them her part, where her expertise comes from. So it's marketing, how to create your digital presence, how to. I've also read that somebody wrote the part with being. The social skills. So she will cover that part. Damir will cover storytelling. In the next 2 weeks, we have also Eleonora Brizzi, the curator, the Italian curator, who will do the NFT sessions. And my part will be about numbers and statistics on a global basis, because when we are talking about, I'm not working into art, but I know how to get to important numbers and how to share the global perspective. So I think that it will also be interesting to conclude the academy part with the global perspective. Who are the most influenced NFT artists? Also, how does the art the online art rolling in the next, I don't know, 5 years? What are the biggest platforms to sell, how to sell, and stuff like that. So not to waste your time anymore, I think that we can conclude. I don't know, Vanya, if you have something to add, or Zara, you.
I've just added a Telegram after a long time, so maybe I can connect with you all.
Yes, I'm gonna add you to the group. Just send me your username on WhatsApp.
I will. Yeah, thank you so much. Hey, this was excellent. What I'm really grateful that the group today was intimate and that we could actually discuss the questions around real life and what is going on in these pockets of territories where we work. And I hope that we can really reconnect with real people working in these real fields and that we discussed, because I see that as the only way to move forward. So if there is anything, I would love to stay in contact. And as I've said, I'm based in Vienna, so that's easy for me to meet. I often also come to Berlin, and I often come to Zagreb. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity to connect, because as I've said, life is long, and hopefully we can all in this or other way work together. And from all of you, I've only known Natasha so far, so this is a great beginning to build on a new community. And really, thank you all. And Zara, I think most of the people left. It's quite late.
Okay, thank you, Vanya, so much. Thank you all for staying strong. And it's been 5 hours today, so I guess you're all pretty tired, but this is amazing. It was such a good day, actually. I think this was my favorite day so far. I don't know if you agree, but my favorite day so far. So thank you, Vanya, so much for adding to that. And yeah, see you all tomorrow for Damir's and Clara's workshop.
Excellent.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.